This video is sponsored by RokForm. If you're bored of your iPhone and say you want some inspiration on how to set up your device, maybe change some things, some new apps, some new widgets, etc., my favorite thing to do is actually just go on YouTube and find out how other people set up their iPhones and get inspiration that way. And so in this video, I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to show you what's on my iPhone. And if you've ever wondered what kind of wallpaper I'm using, maybe you've seen an app and you're like, hey, I wonder what, hopefully I'll answer all of that for you in this video. And maybe you'll get some inspiration on how to set up your device. Now, before we get into what's on my iPhone, I want to know what's on your iPhone. And I think the best way to do that is to either leave a comment down below, maybe stating some of the apps and widgets that you use. Of course, you can hit me up on Twitter, send me screenshots at Dan Barbera over on Twitter. I'd love to see everything. And if you ended up liking this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos like this in the future. All right, so the first thing we'll start with is the lock screen because that's the thing you see front and center. And if you're using an iPhone 14 Pro or Pro Max, you have always on display. And maybe you've turned that off. Well, I'm gonna give you a new reason to turn it back on. Well, actually, Apple's gonna give you a new reason. In iOS 16.2, when that officially comes out here in the next few weeks, you will have this new setting options available for you that makes it more useful. In my opinion, I think it was a little distracting when the always on display would show you your wallpaper. And so this one actually brings it down to a black screen. Now, my wallpaper is actually kind of already dark as it is. And so you might not notice that drastic of a difference, but as you can see here, it automatically goes down to a black screen. And so I'm gonna show you real quick. This isn't like a new app or anything. It's actually part of the system settings that will take place in iOS 16.2. But if you are watching this in the future and 16.2 is officially available, or you've downloaded the beta, here as you can see 16.2, but I'm on a beta 3, you can actually go into display and brightness. And then under always on display, you now have more options to choose from, and you can turn off show wallpaper, which is what brings it down to a black screen. And you can also turn off notifications by unchecking show notifications. Now, to me, the whole point of an always on display is to do two things. One, see your lock screen widgets and the time, and two, see what notification icons are popping up, and then it kind of tells you whether or not you need to interact with your device. And so I like to keep that checked on, but I did turn off the wallpaper so that when I put it down to my lock screen here, you see those widgets and you don't see anything else. And so I really like that. And if you're watching this and 16.2 is available, you can now turn those settings on or off for yourself. So now we'll jump into the lock screens. I really only have two available. This is my main lock screen, and over here is my work focus setting lock screen. And all you do is changes the wallpaper, makes things fresh. But more importantly, if I swipe in, the apps actually remain the same. It does blur the wallpaper a little bit, but the most important part is the work focus setting that turns on. And so now it will automatically silence notifications and people and things that I don't want so that I can focus a little bit better, hence the name focus mode. And so also the widgets up here change. I have the reminders widget and just the weather widget, but let's go back to my main one because here there are a few different things. If I go into customize, so here are some widgets that I have. And so one is for my car, so I can see the battery percentage at all times. And number two here is one that I made with this app called Widgy. And I'm gonna show you in a second the app and what you can do with it, but it actually just made a Spotify widget because that doesn't actually exist. And the cool thing about it is that I can launch into Spotify. And so, and the other widget here is just the weather. It's just telling me how hot or cold it is outside. But the Widgy widget that I use for Spotify is just the ability to tap and go right into the Spotify app. So I can do that from the lock screen, which is pretty cool. Now, before we get into the rest of what's on my iPhone, I do want to talk about what is physically on my iPhone at times. Now, for the sake of this video, I like to keep it clean, but whenever I put on a case, I like to use cases from RokForm, which is today's sponsor. RokForm's new lineup of cases have some of the strongest magnets for MagSafe compatibility that I've ever seen or used. And honestly, if you want to make things even more magnetic, which I didn't think you could do with these cases, but you can use this special plug that comes with this rugged case from RokForm. Out of the box, the case comes with a standard plug that works really well with MagSafe compatible products, including chargers. But if you pop it out and insert the magnetic plug, you can get even more magnetic strength. And let me tell you, I could barely get this MagSafe wallet off of my phone. I'm shaking it as hard as I can, I'm pulling it as hard as I can, and it's really stuck on there. Even the company's crystal case takes around 25 newtons to remove the wallet from the back of this case, which is quite a bit. These cases are obviously very well made, they're incredibly durable, and they protect your phone like no other. So for more information about these iPhone 14 cases from RokForm, visit the link in the description down below. So let me show you Widgy, because that's actually going to be the main widget when you get into the main home screen here. That's front and center. That's this giant widget up top. And what it is it has the weather and it tells me whether it's sunny or not. It's not 100% sunny out, but it kind of is, I guess. Then you have a little calendar here at the bottom, tells you what day it is. And up here, there are actually 3 things: home, task, and note. And all of those are actually shortcuts into the home app, the reminders app, and the notes app. And so here I can show you, tap into it, and it brings me into a shortcut of the home app. Task will bring me into the reminders app, and of course note brings me into notes. And it actually doesn't stop there. They're all shortcuts for each corresponding app. So weather will bring you into the weather app, and this calendar will bring you into the calendar app. So here's actually the Widgy app and what it looks like. The main kind of manage screen, you can create your own from scratch. Explore is where I found all of the ones that I am using. I don't really want to spend all day making them, but you can if you want to. But there are loads of different small, medium, and large widgets that you can choose from, and there's tons of great options. The one that I'm using on the screen, I don't remember, but it's definitely in this Explore section, and I didn't change anything to it. You can't really change anything to the ones that you import, but basically, let's just say I want this one. It will show you. You can get more by this uploader if they've happened to create more than just one. You can share it with somebody, or you can import it. And import it is what brings it into your own set. And then you go into manage. And if that was a large widget, which it was, no, it was a small, I actually don't remember. What was that? I believe that's a large widget. So if I go into the large widget section here, yeah, you'll see it right there. And you can go ahead and change your name so that it actually works properly. And then you can customize the theme and, change the font a little bit if you want to. And there's tons of great options. One of the cool things that I really like about this as well is if you go to Explore, you can go to the lock settings. So here is where I found that Spotify widget. I can also launch into YouTube. You can launch into the camera app, which you already have access to do that. Launch into Instagram, Apple Music, Messages. That might be kind of cool. I might want that for the future, so I'm going to import that. Another cool thing I just want to show you real quick about Widgy is if you go into Explore and then under the Reddit tab, you can see all of these different Reddit posts of people using this app and different home screen setups so that you can get even more inspiration. And so that's Widgy. That's what this big widget is up here, and I kind of like it. And then at the bottom, it's kind of simple. I have my most used apps. These are the apps that I launch into. And if there's an app that I need to use, I almost always just swipe down and search. Or I will swipe over to the app library, but it's 99.9% of the time I just swipe down and search for the app that I am looking for. But up here, we have Slack. That's what I use for work communication. Then I have YouTube Studio, which is what I use to see the analytics for MacRumors, as well as my own personal channel. Don't know if you knew that. I have one. It's Dan Barbera. If you're interested, you can go ahead and subscribe to that. There's the YouTube app. There's Instagram. There's Mail. TikTok, Safari, and then it's fantasy football season, and I'm in way too many fantasy football leagues. And so the Sleeper app, if you're looking to start a fantasy league, the Sleeper app is probably, by now, if you play fantasy football, you probably have a league. It is mega popular, and so you can see that there are loads of different leagues that I'm in, and it's a really, really nice new app for fantasy football, especially if you're in a dynasty league. There are tons of settings. For those of you who are nerdy and curious and you haven't had a league in there, set one up for sure. But over here, I'll highlight some of the newer apps that I'm using a lot and some apps that might be kind of new to you that are kind of unique, I guess. But up at the top, we have another Widgy calendar and weather widget that's up there. There's that one that I showed off from Widgy. Again, that is the music app. And then down here is the reminders app that I can launch into the reminders for around the house that I might have. So the first app here is called Letterbox. And this is basically a social media app, but not really, but it's all about movies and TV shows. And so I kind of use this to track movies that I want to watch or TV shows that I want to watch. And then there's a bunch of different reviews, tons of user engagement. If you have friends that use this app, this is where the social media aspect lies. But then lots of lists. And this is kind of where I get inspiration. Again, I'm going to use that word for different movies and TV shows that I want to watch. And then you can leave a journal. I don't really know. I don't really use that feature. This is how I search for things. If you want to add something to your list. And then over here, this tab all the way at the end here, this is where you can see your profile, your diary, if you want to leave a review or something. And then I'm kind of bare bones right now. I'm just getting back into this app. I used to use it a long time ago, but there's the new Glass Onion, Knives Out movie. And then the menu, I've been seeing a lot of trailers for that and it looks interesting. So I want to remember to go back and check them out. But my favorite thing is to go into the lists and just see what other people are recommending, and really good way to explore some different movies and TV shows. Next, we have CapCut. I use this for TikToks that we create for the MacRumors TikTok channel. You should definitely go and check that out. And what I like to do with the CapCut app is to go and find different templates that might look kind of cool, especially for TikTok, and to get different subtitles. There's a lot you can do with that app. I highly recommend checking it out. Flighty is really good for tracking your flights as well as getting real-time information, and it also uses live activities, which is really nice. It gives you Pro for free, but only for a certain amount of flights, and then you can unlock it. But I have some flights coming up here in the next couple of months to next year, and so more than I'll need to add in here, but I can get real-time updates, especially when those flights get closer and on the day of. I get all of that information into the dynamic island as well as a live activity, and so definitely recommend checking out Flighty. Home Plus is just a different version of the Home app, or a take on the HomeKit app, but I like it because you kind of get all of the top here. It was kind of something I used before the new redesign. Now I kind of like the Apple app, or the Apple Home app, a bit more, but I still use this. You can kind of see the different categories and then go into the cameras. You can go into your different security or your locks, your lights, and kind of group them. I like to use the favorites, and these are the ones that I use on a daily basis. The App Store, pretty self-explanatory. Hive is a new social media app that people were talking about a lot, so I just signed up for it. I'm at Dan Barbera, so if you want to go find me here, you can. But this is, I only have one follower. I haven't used it at all yet, but it's an interesting app, so check me out there. And then these last two are kind of boring. I should probably just use a tracking app so that I can aggregate everything, but I'm just kind of used to using UPS and FedEx because they both have delivery managers, and that's what I use to track any incoming packages. Majority of my stuff is either coming from there or Amazon. And then also all the way to the left, your Today widgets, I believe is what they're called. I do actually use this. There's a better widget where you can actually control, because they're functioning. I can use the Tesla app here, so I can control the lock, climate, charging, and the frunk. The battery widget so that I can check my iPhone, my Apple Watch, and my AirPods Pro 2. And then there's that Home Plus app so I can see my cameras. And then Hydrate. I don't know if you have the Spark water bottles, but I really like it. It definitely sounds silly, but it helps me drink a lot of water. I'm really addicted. It's kind of like closing your Apple Watch rings. I'm addicted to filling out and getting the right amount of water each day. And so this is what I use for that. And so yeah, that's it. That's what's on my iPhone. I would love to know what's on your iPhone. Again, hit me up on Twitter, send me your screenshots, send me your apps and widgets and everything in the comments too if you want to, and hit that thumbs up button if you liked this video. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.